So this is the package it comes in, the Flextailgear Tiny Pump 2X. When I bought mine, it came in a choice of 3 colours. You could get orange, white or black. I chose the white simply because it was the cheapest at the time. Got it off Amazon UK and it was about £32 altogether. So yeah, the packaging, you've got in here the actual pump itself and some nozzles. Let's have a quick look, see what we do get. So, just a little drawstring storage bag there for it. Paperwork, the guide of Tiny Pump 2X. Very nice. And quite nicely presented pump and nozzle set there. So I'll take the pump out and pop out those nozzles, and underneath the nozzles you've got a USB-A to USB-C charging cable. So how many nozzles? 1, 2, that doesn't look like you want to put that somewhere, 3, 4, I'm going to assume these are supposed to come apart, I don't know for certain, so 2, 4, 6 nozzles altogether there, and as we said before, there is the actual unit. Now let's just have a quick weighing session. It's in grams at the moment, so that's the actual unit itself, and it's coming out at 102 grams. And it's actually stuck to it because there is a magnet inside there as well. As you can see, it's actually not a very big item. In fact, let's just get my broken old tape measure. So about 2¼ inches long, or about 55 millimeters. Diameter, what's that, about 1¾ inches, and about 45 mil. So that isn't going to take up a huge amount of room in your pack. So what have we got features wise then? I guess to start with, we've got this little metal hanging hook that folds out from the bottom end, and that does clip back in nicely so it all sits flush. It's not going to dangle around or anything like that. This end is the air intake, so when you've got it attached to your sleeping pad or whatever, you've got air being drawn in from this end here, and then the air is being put into your sleeping pad at this end. On the side of the unit there is your standby button or your power button there, and then underneath this little rubber flap you have got the USB-C charging port, and the little slit just above that there near my thumbnail, that is a charging light. That is underneath there. Back on the bottom end as well, inside the unit, you've got an O-shaped magnet to allow you to attach the unit to something metallic if you need to use as a light. So yeah, on the other end, obviously the centre is the air output, and then around here you've got this clear plastic which is your camping lantern. You've got LEDs underneath that, so if you want to use it as a lantern, you long press the power button and it comes on at 40 lumens power, and then if you press the button again while it's on, that takes it up to 160 lumens power, and then the final press will take you up to 400 lumens power, and then just press it again to turn it off. And if you want to use it as an inflating device, pop in one of your they are really tight. It's a really tight fit to get those nozzles in, which is good because they're not going to flop off while you're trying to inflate your mattress. And then attach your nozzle. And to start the unit up, just give it a double tap on the power button. So that is it. You obviously got different nozzles for different applications. I should ever only be using, I believe it's one of these two for the Neo Air, the Thermarest mattress that I've got. But yeah, I'm looking forward to giving this a test. I'm going to get it charged up and see how many inflations we can get out of it. So you can see that these 4 adapters are all hard plastic and they do not fit the wing lock valve on the Thermarest pads. So none of them connect to that. So what you have to do, you do get a rubbery one. And what I've done is I've put the sort of narrow cone shaped plastic one on first and then this rubber one over the top. If you can see, it does make quite a nice seal on there, and then it also makes a very good seal over the wing lock valve there like that, and that's not going to come off. That's a good connection, is that? So this just brings me to a point of one of the reasons why I want to use this pump, or hope that it's going to work out, because especially in a one-man tent, because of where the valve is on the pads, they're incredibly difficult to inflate in the tent. So if you arrive at camp and you're camping and basically you're trying to inflate your mattress in your tent, if it's bad weather, if it's windy, I've nearly had my mat blow away on me a couple of times inflating it outside, or if it's raining and you don't want to get it wet, it's really difficult to inflate it. I mean, to use the pump sack on that, you've got to get over it and kind of lean over it. It's just awkward, and there should be a better way of doing it. If anyone's a little bit more technically minded than me and can tell me why the valve has to be up there at the top and why it couldn't be in the middle of the pad. If it was in the middle, surely you could just quite easily kneel next to the pad and you'd have plenty of room, i.e. if it was down there you could kneel in your porch and it would be very nice and easy. But for some reason they are always up at the top of the pad there, which I just do not get. So if there is a way to make things easier where I can just lay my mattress out in the tent, connect the pump to the wing lock and just set it going, I will happily take that. So let's see how quickly it can inflate. Just for reference as well, this is it's the Thermarest Neo Air X-Lite Large, so it's slightly wider and slightly longer than the standard X-Lite. You can also probably hear that it's quite a high-pitched whine coming from the pump, so if you're stealth camping and you're worried about being discovered, it's probably not the best thing for you to be using. Or if you're in a campsite where noise is an issue. That is getting very close to being done. And I would say that's pretty much what I normally put mine up to. So I have just stopped the stopwatch and You probably won't be able to see on the screen, but it says 1 minute 10 seconds. So 1 minute 10 seconds of just leaving something to do its business, rather than, I would guess, like 5 minutes of messing around with a pump sack. That's definitely a good switch out for me, and I'm definitely going to be happy enough to carry the little bit of extra weight. And speaking of the extra weight, the pump as you see it with the 2 attachments on, so the pump as you would need to pump a thermarest mat up, that weighs 110 grams on my scales. Now the pump sack for the thermarest that comes with the mat, that weighs, I believe it was 57 grams on my scales. So I mean, you're not carrying a lot of extra weight really. And there's also the bonus of the tiny pump does double as a lantern if you want to use that feature. So that is pretty much that. What I will do at some point is wait till it's dark obviously, and then just test how the lantern performs in the tent on an evening or a night. See the different levels of brightness. One other thing we can do is see how quickly it deflates the pad, if you would want to use it for that purpose. Sometimes it can be awkward to get all the last remaining bits of air out of the pad, so if there's something that can suck it all out for you, it might be an advantage. So let us see. It's going to be difficult to start everything off at the same time with this, so slightly out of... kind of wonder how it'll perform, to be honest. I don't think it's going to get everything out completely. I'll stop it there. So that was about 1 minute and 4 seconds, and that is easily enough air out so that you can roll it up from the bottom and squish the last remaining little dregs out yourself by hand, which is what you normally have to do anyway. So I mean, I'm not sure I'd use it to deflate. It's probably just a waste of charge if you're out on the trail. I prefer to keep the charge and use that for setting the actual mat up on an evening. But it's handy to know that that function is there should you require it. So just a quick summary of the sort of final performance after testing this out on the trail. It doesn't stick to your trekking poles in the tent if your trekking poles are carbon or aluminium. Obviously not magnetic, so can't do that. I tried to get some footage of the different lights, you know, the different light strengths that it is, but I just couldn't make it work in the tent at all. It wasn't coming out. What I will say is the lightest, the weakest setting, that was kind of enough for me to be able to find stuff that I needed in the tent, like a battery pack or something like that, if I couldn't find it just by feeling around. It didn't throw out a lot of light, I'll be honest. The medium setting was actually quite good. You could operate zips on the doors and things like that. You could pretty much see what you were doing. And then the strongest setting that was more than enough, more than adequate for if you wanted to read in the tent or anything like that. So pretty powerful actually. Inflations wise, for my Neo Air X-Lite large, I got 18 inflations out of it, and that is, each inflation was about 1 minute 10 seconds long, so 18 inflations. Included in that as well, I also used the torch on the end there for about 5 minutes on the highest setting, so that's a decent performance, I think. Halfway through the final inflation, the 18th one, the red light did come on, meaning that the power was about to go. I got about another minute of low power before the unit did actually do an auto shut off. So basically, I mean, for me, this is brilliant, and it's well worth taking out. If you're going to get 18 inflations out of it, that's over 2 weeks worth of setting it, you know, getting to use it out on trail and not having to do that blooming pump bag thing. I have just used this out on the Cleveland Way, and I've got to admit it was so nice just to be able to set it off, let it do its thing, and a minute 10 seconds later it was done. It was brilliant. I loved it. So for me, this is well worth carrying along. I guess for you, you've got to decide if it's for you, if you want to carry the extra weight. Disadvantages could be, like anything electric, it could fail. The switch could fail. You know, rechargeable batteries are prone to losing the charge, especially in kind of cold environments. If you're transitioning between warm and cold environments, if it's cold at night, your battery can lose charge quite easily. So, I mean, you aren't always going to get that amount of inflations out of it. That was probably pretty decent conditions, but still, for me, this is really well worth the money I paid for it, and it'll be coming on future trips for definite. So I hope you found some use out of this. Maybe it'll inspire you to go and pick one up yourself and give it a shot. If you've got any questions or comments, please pop them in the usual place below, and hit the subscribe button if you want to be notified of any future videos. Thanks very much.